In the beginning of the film, a bunch of children venture into a dark cave to lead research. After 10 minutes, they notice something disturbing, so one of the young ladies chooses to get out and call for help. Shockingly, when she arrives at the top, she figures out that the Earth has totally changed. There are huge stone developments, dust storms unleashing destruction all over, and, surprisingly, a spaceship is found in the sky. This suggests that, in some way, more than 1,000 years have passed externally while they're inside the cave. The film then gets back to how everything began. A college professor, Hopper, with his dog, Boss, is looking through the strange arrangement of cave. They run over a van which obviously had a place from the 70s. It turns out the professor is looking for a gathering of youngsters that disappeared many years ago, and the small van in which they travel. As they begin, Boss begins barking as though he has detected something and needs to return home as soon as possible. Nonetheless, against his desires, Hopper enters one of the caves and finds a weird cowboy frozen in time. The man has all the earmarks of being from an alternate time, which is obvious from his dress and weapon. Hopper drives back home. There, he is invited by his two students, Taylor and Jackie, who are excited to begin their new investigation trip. Yet, sadly, Hopper lets them know that the arrangement has changed, so he will go alone at this point. Soon after, he accumulates every one of the vital things and returns to the cave. There, he finds a weird layer that isolates the environment between the rest of the world and the cave. Hopper enters the layer, and when he does as such, the frozen man begins moving. After Hopper gets lost, students they choose to search for him. In the present, it's been many days. The students have got some news about Hopper, so both students got into a talk for getting some solution. Yet, since they don't claim a vehicle, Taylor is compelled to ask for help from a young lady named Kara, who has a keen interest in him. Kara promptly consents to bring her father's Jeep, however, provided that she and her younger sibling, Vives, are likewise permitted to participate. To understand the situation well, students are told to take another youngster, Furby, with them, as he and Vives are going for their school project. Surprisingly, the gathering shows up at the spot and finds the unwanted minivan from previously. On checking, they discover that the hipsters the teacher was searching for are, in all honesty, his parents. They wandered into the arrangement of caves a few decades back looking for students. Then, they find an exhausted rope that drives them to an alternate piece of the cave. Jackie follows the rope through a slim passage and figures out that it has been cut off. She additionally sees that the cave dives extremely deep, and it is perhaps where the teacher has been lost. Taylor states that the rope is too old to even consider having a place with teacher Hopper, yet he in any case chooses to get down and review the cave. The young ladies choose to go along with him while Furby is requested to keep watch as he is very terrified of the darkness. While moving down the dark cave, Kara goes over a similar instruction and tells Taylor that the temperature is different on the opposite side of it. Despite this, they continue with their trip until they arrive at the foundation of the cave. Following this, the film scales back to 2 days prior, when teacher Hopper has recently entered the cave. As he is gradually clearing his path through the cave, unexpectedly, he hears a shout from inside, trailed by a frightening yell. Frightened, Hopper begins running back and arrives at the entry, where he sees the daylight gleaming weirdly. At the point when he at long last gets outside, it's now evening time, but was in the cave for just 2 minutes. He then rushes to his truck, yet finds that it has been covered by plants. In fact, the entire region, which was once a desert, has been covered by thick woods, inferring that many years have passed since Hopper entered the dark cave. Not long after, he runs over Carol's Jeep and Taylor's rucksack, so he chooses to get once more into the cave to search for them. Back in the present, the gathering investigates the cave until they hear the very loud yell that Hopper heard before. Terrified that something is sneaking in cave, they choose to leave their main goal and head home. Jackie goes first, and as she is climbing, the rope is out of nowhere cut off, making her tumble from a fair level. Accordingly, she cracks her leg while Taylor, who was attempting to save her, breaks his arm. Then, Taylor attempts to beware of the other rope, however shockingly, it has been cut off as well. With this, they find that Furby has been playing with them. An irate Taylor takes a stab at calling him from the radio, however, the kid doesn't answer back. At this point, the gathering has begun overreacting and want to get out. A noisy crash is heard behind the scenes. Maybe something tumbled from a higher place. Terrified, Taylor again attempts to make contact through the radio, and this time, a low voice answers, "Help me." Taylor gets some information about the man's character, and it ends up being Furby. Left without any choices, the gathering chooses to wander further profound into the passage until they go over where the sky is clear. Shockingly, very much like Hopper had seen before, the sun continues to glow, as though the day is transforming in night. In any case, when they keep examining the spot, they find Furby lying dead as an afterthought. His neck has been broken and a few imprints are noticeable all over. The sight crushes the gathering, and they begin expecting that somebody is after them. Also, when Taylor finds Furby's removed rope, they become sure of it. Luckily, the Gathering finds the young man's GoPro still in working condition and chooses to check what caused his end. In the video, Furby trusts that the Gathering will return for quite a long time, yet without any result. He takes a stab at everything, calling them through the radio, shouting through each opening in the cave, and in any event, tossing rocks for a clue, however, never got any reaction. At the point when he gets exhausted, he meanders through the close-by region and goes over the hipster's minivan from the 70s, which has a diary inside it. The diary specifies that the strange cave contains a wellspring of youth, which can supernaturally recuperate individuals or in any event, resurrect the dead. What's more, this is the motivation behind why Hooper's folks went into the cave, as his mother was experiencing an interesting types of disease. A couple of additional days pass by and Furby has depleted all his food and water supply. Accepting that his companions are dead, he chooses to leave the spot. However, for that, he wants the Jeep keys from Taylor. Thus, he chooses to descend to the cave and recover it himself. However, when he crosses the puzzling hindrance, he sees this guy evolving quickly. Before he can figure out the peculiarity, the rope snaps consequently, bringing about a destructive fall. This is the crash the Gathering heard before. When inside the cave, the radio beginnings working so a harmed Furby gives calling a shot for help. Yet, tragically, this may draw the consideration of some apex predators, who show up there and kill him hard-heartedly. The recording leaves the Gathering in a condition of shock, disarray, and misery. They are confounded with regards to how Furby went through days outside while it has just been 30 minutes for them inside the cave. Presently, the Gathering is frantic to escape the spot. Since Kara is fit and not harmed, the one in particular, she is entrusted with free climbing right out of the gigantic cave. Before leaving, Taylor gives her a guide with the goal that she can caution the specialists when she gets a sign. After a touch of battle, Kara at long last escapes the cave. However, what she sees leaves her puzzled. The region, which was once covered with thick green timberlands, has transformed into a dreadful fruitless land, with dust storms preparing somewhere far off. The oxygen supply is additionally exceptionally low, on account of which Carol continues to hack. Frightened, she moves up to the rock and attempts to get a sign on the guide. True to form, Kara gets no sign, yet she drifts somewhere far off, demonstrating that the time has continued by a few centuries. The fact that she didn't attempt makes it right when she gets once again into the cave, and Taylor and the others are disturbed. It would seem while Kara was outside for an entire 30 minutes, a couple of moments passed for the Gathering inside the cave. Angered that her endeavors are not being valued, Kara shows her camera, which checks her case that she did as a matter of fact head outside. In the video, the odd abandoned world and the huge dust storms are noticeable. At last, that's what Taylor finds. For reasons unknown, the time inside of the cave is dialed back, and every time the sun flashes, it implies that one day has passed. He adds that this is the motivation behind why the ropes were being removed, as the grinding throughout the long term made them delicate. Hearing this, Vives chooses to rewatch Furby's recording, and when she does, she finds something stunning. On one of the edges, the sky is changing its tone, with the dull sky being the colder time of year and the light one summer. A modern-looking stepping stool is tossed there out of the blue. Then, a Goliath outsider-like figure begins moving down it, inciting everybody to ease off. At the point when the outsider arrives at the cave, out of nowhere, a savage alpha predator assaults him. A battle follows between the two, yet the monster outsider effectively curbs and binds the alpha predator with a notification, a weird spaceship-like item, very good quality electronic gadget. Then, he begins pursuing the Gathering, making them escape with sickening dread. Sooner or later, Taylor and the pack show up at a strange spot where a gathering of alpha predators are gobbling up their new casualty. It has all the earmarks of being a similar rancher from the very beginning of the film. Tragically, the apex predators notice the people and start pursuing them. To purchase others' time to escape, Taylor makes a definitive penance and battles the monsters alone. Tragically, he is of no match, and the apex predators severely polish him off. The Goliath outsider methodologies the two and hauls Taylor to a little pool of water, which has all the earmarks of being the wellspring of youth. A modern-day miracle he reawakens, and the legend which was constantly giggled at by others ends up being genuine. Be that as it may, before the Gathering can cheer, the apex predators return and begin going after the monster. This time, they dwarf him and even figure out how to take his cap off, which leaves the monster panting for air. Fortunately, before he can be done off, Kara and Taylor assist him and ultimately trap the alpha predators with his hardware. After the quarrel, several attempts to help the monster up to his feet, yet come up short. Maybe the oxygen inside of the world's environment is harmful to him, making his inward organs fall flat. The monster shows a news report about the gatherings vanishing a few centuries prior. He likewise shows them numerous different clasps which demonstrate that the everyday environments on Earth have become dreadful, so the people have left for another planet. A unique spaceship called the Circular Segment is liable for shipping the people, and it is the very object that Carol had seen before. After giving this data, Goliath dies. In the following scene, as Taylor scans the cave for additional signs, he abruptly goes over to Teacher Hopper lying harmed on the floor. Yet, what he sees next shocks him profoundly. Before them are a few different layers of time, which move at significantly more slow rates. In the primary layer, Hopper's folks are frozen, while in the more deep layers, a few ancient men are battling each other to hold on to the wellspring of youth. Taylor attempts to accompany him back to somewhere safe, however, Hopper demands remain there. Not long after, Taylor gets once again to his gathering and places the dead for into the wellspring of youth. Jackie likewise recuperates her harmed leg there. In any case, similarly, as they are going to leave, the brutes again encompass them. With no place to go, the gathering chooses to utilize the cutting-edge stepping stool of the outsider. Kara goes first, yet when she arrives at the top she figures out that the entry has been loaded up with water. Unexpectedly, an animal yanks her up, likely stirring up a lot of loathsomeness for the leftover gathering. A couple of moments later, a completely changed Carol gets back to the cave and pulls everybody with a cutting-edge rope. Sometime later, she likewise pulls for Teacher Hopper, and his parents. It turns out the animals that pulled Kara before are real people that advanced with the adjustment of time. What's more, notwithstanding Carol being away for only seconds in the cave, she as a matter of fact experienced quite a long while outside. In the last scene, the gathering is brought to the curve, which is on its course to search for another planet to live on. The Circular Segment is being constrained by developed animals, who communicate in something else altogether. The film closes as the spaceship impacts into space, leaving the blue planet behind until the end of time. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn notifications on for more such recaps. Drop a like. Thank you for watching.